Hey guys, I'm Beck Cranford, and I'm a woman who preaches. And some of you have reached out to me and said, Beck, what is a good Bible translation for me to begin with? And I have a couple suggestions. I do want to say that the Bible is a complex piece of literature. I do not hold a view of inerrancy, which is paramount in some conservative denominations. I think that the Bible was written by flawed human beings who were attempting their best to describe their understandings of God. I think that the Bible can be really great literature. I think that literature itself contains truth, just as the stories of Harry Potter and Star Wars and Wonder Woman contain truth. And I think there's a lot of things that we can use, especially when we look at it in kind of an archetypal and symbolic way to apply to our lives, as well as we can look at it as a historicity, or kind of a view of the history as described by certain people. So, I mean, there's a lot of different stuff in there, a lot of different kind of literature. And we can talk about the different kinds of literature that are in the Bible. But when we're talking about a decent translation, there's some translations I would avoid and some translations I would suggest to you. A couple translations I would avoid would be the ESV. So I would avoid that one. I think it's CBH or something like that, like Coleman Christian Standard Bible or something. Yeah, that one I'd avoid. I'd avoid the NIV if possible. And the King James Version has its problems as well. I mean, all these Bibles, again, translations, scribes, there's problems in them. There's mistranslations. There's misconnotations of the original words. You're not going to find one that's perfect, but just find one that you like. You might like the NRSV, which is pretty decent if you're looking for a paraphrase. The message is okay, although I don't think it handles the clobber verses well. And I have a lot of... I really liked Eugene Peterson, some of the other books that he read. He wrote a book on Jeremiah called Run with the Horses that was very pivotal in my life as a young Bible student. The Living Bible is decent. It's okay. The Good News Translation is pretty decent. The Contemporary English Version is pretty decent, but I usually go to the NRSV to do study. Find one that you like. And again, remember that there's going to be problems in it. Like, for instance, there's a word, oikos, in Scripture, not the yogurt, in case you're wondering. But so there was oikos that was mistranslated by Jerome to mancio. In Latin, which mancio in kind of ancient Latin meant like house or dwelling, right? But in ancient Greek, in the Koine, oikos meant like dwelling place, like small household. But what ended up happening is that because in the Latin it was mancio, which was the feminine form of mansus, which was house, it came to be manor house or lord's resident or mansion. So we then had this later theology that people started thinking that Jesus was going to build them mansions in the sky. I don't know if you remember that song Delta Dawn about the unhoused woman who's having some mental health issues. It's at the train station waiting for Jesus to take her to his mansion in the sky. Do you remember that song? Delta Dawn, what's that flower you have on? Nobody? Okay, whatever. Maybe you're just not Appalachian enough. But yeah, so that song. But yeah, there's no mansions in the sky. Sorry, folks. So, I mean, that's a mistranslation, and there's other mistranslations that are out there. Let me tell you one that I cannot stand, and I really hate when pastors repeat it. It just irritates the living you-know-what out of me. So, it's in Jeremiah. Let me think about where it's at in Jeremiah. All right, it's Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? Oh, your heart's deceitful and wicked. No, no. This is a bad translation. Bad translation. Look, there's root words here. When you go to the Hebrew, when you look for this word that's deceitful and this word that's wicked, and there's a whole lot of things that these root words could be. And a lot of conservative scholars will say, well, historically in the other parts of the text, they're translated as wicked. Or actually, this is translated as deceitful, and blah, 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 blah. But when you look at the root word, like the root word could be something like foot related and have everything to do with feet and like goats and like climbing mountains and caverns, and how navigation is treacherous. So it's easier and better to say the heart is treacherous and a difficult journey because you're going to dive into your shadow, your trauma, your grief, your guilt, your shame, all of it. It's all going to be there when you go into your heart, and it's going to be a perilous journey, and you should have on some decent climbing shoes when you go. Right? That would be a much better translation than saying the heart is deceitful above all things. No, honey, it's not deceitful above all things. Later, we see in Scripture, and even earlier, we see God talking through the prophets. It says, I have put the law on your hearts. I have written the law on your hearts. I have put values and ethics and character within your heart. You no longer need it on stones of clay. You have it in your fleshly tablets of your heart. So we see that. We know that the heart is not deceitful. We see in Scripture that there's talks from the prophets that say that the heart can be good and that the heart can be trusted, and because we have the law written on our hearts. I mean, come on. There's some mistranslations. But anyways, I digress. I could blibber blabber, jibber jabber about mistranslations in Scripture all day long, but I won't bore you with that. What I will say is that get you a decent Bible, one that you like, and then, see how they translate. Go look for the clobber verses. The clobber verses, remember that homosexuality was not added into the Bible until 1946. Look and see what it says. Look at the Timothy verses about the prohibitions against women, the Corinthian verses, see how they're translated there. And then, just study. Keep studying, keep studying, keep studying. Take nothing at face value. Do not be a literal crazy person, a Bible bigot of fundamentalism and literalism, but interpret the literature literarily, right? I mean, there is truth in the literature, just like there's truth in any good literature, whether it's Star Wars, The Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, or Stranger Things. There's truth there, folks. Dive into the Bible, have fun. Don't check your brain at the door. I'll see you next time.